Imagine a player earning $70 million annually, yet only impacting their team's payroll by 0.8%. In the 2023-2024 offseason, Shohei Ohtani signed a groundbreaking 10-year, $700 million deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers. A deal that not only shattered records but also spotlighted the intricate strategy of deferred salary in Major League Baseball. This innovative approach allows teams to navigate financial constraints while securing top talent, but it also carries significant risks and complex consequences for both players and franchises. In this video, we will explore the implications of deferred contracts and how they are reshaping the landscape of contract negotiations in baseball. Shohei Ohtani's average annual value should be $7 million per year, which would account for 23% of the Dodgers' 2024 payroll. However, Ohtani and the Dodgers agreed to defer $680 million until after the 10-year deal ends. With this deferral, Ohtani will receive only $2 million per year instead of $70 million, reducing his impact on the Dodgers' payroll to just 0.8%. This strategic move has shifted the Dodgers from having the third highest payroll in baseball to the fifth, allowing them to invest significantly in other players. The Dodgers spent a staggering $1.2 billion in the offseason, partly made possible by deferring contracts, including a one-year, $23.5 million deal for Teoscar Hernandez, which defers $8.5 million until 2039. By managing their payroll in this manner, the Dodgers are able to sign multiple players. The Dodgers have a history of utilizing this strategy effectively. Players like Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts have contracts that include deferred payments, allowing the team to balance immediate financial obligations with long-term investments in player talent. Deferring money is not new in baseball. In 1984, the Atlanta Braves signed Hall of Fame reliever Bruce Sutter to a 6-year, $9.1 million deal, with deferred money that would pay him through 2021. Other players like Phil Niekro, Goose Gossage, and Todd Helton also had contracts with similar structures. Arguably the most famous case of a contract with deferred money is Bobby Bonilla's contract. Bobby Bonilla is mostly remembered nowadays for getting paid almost $2 million by the Mets every season. But before that, he was a very solid player. After coming up in the Pirates minor league system, he was picked up by the White Sox in the Rule 5 draft in the 85-86 offseason. He debuted with the White Sox and got traded back to the Pirates that same year. In his first 6 years in the big leagues, he was a very good player, hitting 116 home runs with a 131 OPS and making the All-Star game 4 times. Bonilla also received MVP votes in 4 seasons and finished in the top 3 in 1990 and 1991. Bonilla was a part of a Pirates star-studded outfield alongside Andy Van Slyke and Barry Bonds. After the 1991 season, Bonilla became a free agent and signed a 5-year, $29 million deal with the New York Mets. This contract would make Bonilla the highest paid player in the NL from 1992 to 1994. Bonilla was productive in his Mets tenure. In his first 3 seasons in New York, he had 73 home runs with a 128 OPS. Very similar numbers to the ones in Pittsburgh. Bonilla was traded to the Baltimore Orioles in the middle of the 1995 season, and he then played for the Florida Marlins and the Dodgers before coming back to the Mets for the 1999 season. He struggled a lot in his return to New York, playing only 60 games with a 49 OPS+. His lack of performance on the field was not the only thing that went wrong in New York. Bonilla and manager Bobby Valentine could not get along. The Mets decided to release Bonilla after the season, but they still owed him $5.9 million. Bonilla's agent offered the Mets a contract with Deferrals that would pay Bonilla $1.9 million from 2011 to 2035. Mets accepted the offer that would pay Bonilla $29.8 million instead of $5.9 million. They decided to do that interesting decision because of Mets owner at the time, Fred Wilpon, was heavily invested in a Ponzi scheme which would get them huge returns. Things did not go as planned for Wilpon and the Mets. Wilpon lost about $700 million and eventually had to sell the team to Steve Cohen. Bobby Bonilla also has another deferred contract with the Baltimore Orioles, which will pay him $500,000 until 2029. In 2024, Bonilla is the 15th highest paid player for the 2024 Mets. He is getting paid more than third baseman Mark Vientos, who has a 140 OPS plus and 2.7 wins above replacement this season for the Mets. Vientos is tied for second in wins above replacement among Mets position players. Bonilla's numbers in 2024 are not as good. Bonilla's contract is one of the most memorable contracts in baseball history, and nowadays the Mets even make fun of the situation. The $1.9 million owed to Bobby Bonilla only account for 0.6% of the Mets' 2024 payroll, so it's not making a huge dent in Steve Cohen's wallet. Another good example is Ken Griffey Jr.'s extension with the Cincinnati Reds. In 2000, the Cincinnati Reds signed Ken Griffey Jr. to an extension worth $112.5 million, with $57.5 million in deferred payments starting in 2009 all the way through 2024. Griffey received the final payment this year, a 3.5 payment made on July 1st. The kid would rank 4th in the Reds' active 2024 payroll, getting paid more than young superstar Elly De La Cruz. After missing out on the 99 postseason by 1.5 games, the Reds decided to go all in and trade for Griffey and make the playoffs for the first time since 1995. Griffey's tenure with the Reds was not as great as his previous 11 seasons with the Seattle Mariners. The kid averaged just 105 games per season in his 9 years in the Queen City. He only played more than 130 games in his first and last 2 campaigns. Griffey's production also faltered. He hit 210 home runs, with a 270, 362, 514 slash line and a 122 OPS plus, a considerable regression from his numbers with the Mariners. The trade/extension did not help the Reds make the postseason. The Reds never made the playoffs with Griffey and went 673 and 785. Deferring money in Griffey's extension was a good idea at the time, but unfortunately things did not go the Reds' way. In 2015, the Baltimore Orioles finished with an 81-81 record and missed the playoffs. This was a disappointing outcome after their strong performance in 2014, when they won the AL East and reached the ALCS. The struggles of the 2015 season motivated the Orioles to invest in the following years. One of the most notable moves was re-signing their all-star slugger Chris Davis to a 7-year, $161 million deal, which included $42 million in deferred payments. Davis hit 126 home runs over the previous 3 years, averaging 42 per season and boasting an OPS plus of 141. He was a key player in a strong lineup that included Manny Machado and Adam Jones. However, Davis' performance declined significantly after signing the contract. Over the next 5 seasons, he hit only 92 home runs and recorded an OPS plus of 80, all while earning $23 million per year. The Orioles found themselves in a difficult position. As a team that typically does not spend heavily, they seized the opportunity to compete in the mid-2010s by retaining Davis. Unfortunately, the Orioles didn't win an MLB championship in the Chris Davis era. In hindsight, re-signing Davis was a bad deal for the franchise. The impact of his decline not only affected the team's on-field performance, but also continues to be a lingering issue to this day. Davis is getting paid $9.1 million by the Orioles in 2024. That puts him 4th on the Orioles' 2024 active payroll. He is making more money than Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, Jordan Westbrook, and Colton Cowser combined. In contrast, the Nationals' situation with Max Scherzer highlights a successful use of deferred money. The Nationals are paying $15 million to Max Scherzer in 2024. He is the 3rd highest paid player by the Nationals in 2024 behind Patrick Corbin, who is owed $25 million this season, and Steven Strasburg, who is owed $23 million. Patrick Corbin is the worst player in baseball, and Steven Strasburg retired before the 2024 season started. The 4th highest paid player in the Nats is Keibert Ruiz, who is getting paid $6.3 million. Scherzer's $15 million account for 12% of the Nationals' total payroll in 2024. Scherzer's contract is one of the best contracts for a 30-year-old pitcher of all time. The Hall of Fame righty had his best years for Washington, winning 2 Cy Young Awards and finishing in the top 5 in Cy Young voting 6 of 7 years with the Nats. Scherzer threw over 1,200 innings pitched with a 2.80 ERA and 1,610 strikeouts with the Nats. He was an All-Star in 6 seasons and won the World Series in 2019. It might seem like a dumb idea to pay $15 million to a player that does not play for your team anymore, but this contract structure allowed the Nationals to sign Max Scherzer and win a World Series. Deferring contracts seems like a cheat code for high payroll teams. It allows them to spread the money around and players still get their money. Another advantage of deferred contracts is the potential tax benefits for players. Payments made after a player retires can be subject to the tax laws of the state in which they reside at the time. For example, Ohtani's $2 million salary in 2024 will be taxed in California at 14.4%. However, if he moves to Florida after his career ends, he will receive the deferred $68 million tax-free. This financial strategy can entice high-profile free agents to consider contracts with big market teams that utilize deferred payments. The impact of state income tax on contract negotiations cannot be understated. For example, in the 2020-2021 offseason, Corey Seager opted to sign with the Texas Rangers rather than return to the Dodgers. Texas has no state income tax, allowing the Rangers to outbid the Dodgers effectively. To match Seager's 10-year, $325 million deal, the Dodgers would have needed to offer approximately $368 million, factoring in California's income tax. Deferred payments can also be structured to provide players with more immediate financial relief, appealing to those who prefer upfront compensation. The nuanced interplay of tax implications and contract structures demonstrates the complexity of modern MLB negotiations. When considering deferred contracts in Major League Baseball, it is essential to understand the financial principles of present value and inflation. Present value indicates that a dollar received today is worth more than a dollar received in the future due to its earning potential. For players, while deferring a large sum may seem attractive, analyzing the present value reveals that waiting for future payments diminishes their worth. If a player defers a $70 million payment over 10 years, the real value of that money could be significantly lower than its nominal value. Additionally, inflation erodes the purchasing power of the future payments. Assuming a 3% annual inflation rate, that $70 million will buy less in 10 years than it does today. This calculation helps players understand the true worth of their deferred earnings and consider the long-term implications of inflation. For teams, structuring contracts with deferred payments allows them to maintain budget flexibility and invest funds elsewhere. Deferred contracts present a complex strategy for MLB franchises, offering both flexibility and potential advantages while also carrying inherent risks. As exemplified by the contrast experiences of players like Bobby Bonilla, Ken Griffey Jr., Chris Davis, and Max Scherzer, the outcomes of these contracts can vary significantly based on player performance and team dynamics. As teams like the Dodgers, Mets, Orioles, and Nationals navigate the evolving landscape of player contracts, they must weigh the immediate benefits of deferred payments against the long-term financial implications. The growing acceptance of this strategy reflects a shift in how organizations approach roster management and financial planning in a competitive environment. Looking ahead, the future of deferred contracts will likely continue to shape player negotiations and team strategies in profound ways, as franchises seek innovative solutions to balance payroll constraints with the pursuit of top talent. The interplay between risk and reward will remain a central theme in the ongoing discussions about player contracts. Ultimately, the success of this approach will depend not only on the foresight of team executives, but also on the unpredictable nature of player performance in the ever-competitive world of Major League Baseball. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. See you next time.